Let's build my 1969 blown big block Camaro in 10 minutes. Welcome back to all my long form viewers. It's been a while since I've uploaded a video here on YouTube, but I decided to come back and give you guys a full in-depth video on the journey of my 1969 Camaro. I've been a shorts creator, so some of you guys may have seen my videos, but I'll be playing them here and piecing them all together. And if this goes well, I may come back to posting long form videos again. Just let me know in the comments and I might make a comeback. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. One of the dreams I've always had in life was to build and own a muscle car with the supercharger sticking outside the hood. I already had my 1968 Ford Mustang fastback with a coyote swap, so I wanted something different. It was between a classic Camaro or a classic Charger, maybe even a Challenger. Either way, I wanted it to be inspired from Dom's Challenger in the Fast and Furious movie. That car was badass, and I wanted to build one. My budget was in between $30,000 to $40,000 because I bought my 1968 Ford Mustang fastback for $35,000. I wanted a clean driving Challenger, Charger, or Camaro. But one thing about classic Dodges is that they're so expensive for no reason. Anyways, that quickly isolated it down to one car, the classic Camaro. So I locked it in on a 1969 Camaro and I found one I was looking for. I found this beautiful one, red with black stripes, just because I was trying to find another color than black since all my cars are black, and a super sport. You know we had to go with the SS. I had a Chevy 350, a 4-speed manual, and a couple other goodies like suspension and rear meaty tires. I found it on Facebook Marketplace and I went to go check it out. The seller was asking $48,000 initially, but I knew I could get it down to $40,000 if everything checked out. But it didn't check out. There was a coolant leak, a fuel leak, transmission didn't shift that good, and it had a very minor dent on the fender. Other than that, it was pretty alright. Seller didn't know I could fix all of this for like under 50 bucks, but I lowballed him $8,000 and he took it. We made a deal on $40,000. Now people might say $40,000 is too much, but classic cars are investment pieces. They will never lose value. They're only going to be going up. So I will be making money on this car later on. We made a deal. I gave him the money and I drove all the way home to introduce it to my garage. Now the fun part begins. For the first 6 months of owning this car, I didn't really do much to it besides some fun projects like nitrous or do little mods like intake, suspension, and basic maintenance. But there were two things I had to do right away. One thing I don't like about the 1969 Camaros is the front super sport grille. I think the headlights are off and it just doesn't look good in my opinion. So I went with the Rally Sport grille, which just looks way more aggressive. It deletes the headlights and just makes that Charger looking front end that's just so menacing. I needed the RS and it was the best decision I've ever made cosmetically to this car. Another thing that I needed was a bug catcher because I knew what project I was going to do, but I didn't tell you guys yet. I ended up putting the bug catcher on my Chevy 350 just for fun and you guys loved it. They got millions of views. After that, I ended up asking you guys based on that crazy video, which ultimately made the official decision of what build we were going to do. And that was keeping it classic, old school, big block muscle car. I needed to save up at least $15,000 to even start the project, so I just got the parts before I tore the car apart. I didn't know too much about big blocks. This was my first time getting into it. Initially, I just wanted to go with the 427. You know, that's just the classic 7-liter engine. There was a 427 in the Mustangs. Camaro had the 427. And when I think of 427, I always think of the C6 Z06 7-liter engine. So I just wanted to keep it OG. But then I heard the 454s were even better, which were the larger engines in the trucks, but you can modify them to make it even better. So 454 is what I was going to go with, and luckily while I was searching for engines, I found an engine builder that takes 454 big block motors and strokes them out to 496, which is even a bigger engine. So this was like the perfect scenario for me. It had fully forged internals and ready to be dropped into the car. I ended up picking this for $5,000 and got it delivered the following week. This was my second time dressing up an engine with all of its components like an oil pump, an oil pan, timing chain cover, rear main seal, and valve covers. Overall, it's really easy to do. I just went overboard with the silicone because I did not want this engine to leak. I did it all by myself and I couldn't be happier. Next, my good friends at Pipes Performance Exhaust, who was the first ever sponsor on my channel and has stick through my full journey of building cars, hooked us up with their full exhaust system for 1969 Camaro. The exhaust system included long tube headers, their X pipe, and their Street Pro mufflers. This was a full 3-inch Mandrel bent exhaust system from Pipes Performance. Now I needed a blower. I still had no idea where to look, but I'm actually really good friends with the founder and CEO of Speedmaster, so I decided to go with their 671 Root style supercharger, which was perfect for my build. Now I know I said I wanted to keep the build old school, but I didn't want it to be a hassle driving every single time I took it out, so a little modern technology was needed to make this happen. Shout out to Phytech EFI Solutions for providing us with a dual 1,200 horsepower EFI system to run on the blown big block engine setup. Fuel injection is the way to make this car drive so much better because it automatically adjusts fuel air, spark, and timing to a classic setup. It also came with their distributor, spark advanced system, and handheld tuner to just go ahead and dial it all together. This is exactly what we needed. For the fuel system, we partnered up with Evil Energy Products to equip a full fuel system. This was my first time ever doing fuel all by myself, so I was pretty scared, although it's probably one of the easiest things you could do. I went with the full AN6 line, about 40 feet or so, a fuel pump, 2 fuel filters, a fuel pressure return style regulator, and a fuel cell. Fuel cells are pretty cool. Never done one of these before, but it worked out perfectly. I wanted something different for my race car, and this was the way, definitely. The engine is complete minus all the little things like a crank pulley, water pump, alternator, but it's essentially ready to be dropped in. Now we just need to work on the rest of the drivetrain. Flywheel and clutch is next. The boys at Uniclutch Official teamed up with us to equip their 1200 foot-pounds of torque rated dual clutch system, which is the most innovative clutch in the market right now, and it doesn't even come close. This is mind-blowing to me. This particular clutch is like a flywheel-less clutch, which is insane to me. Installation was the easiest thing ever. Basically, you take it out of the box, put in the transmission adapter, space it out, and bolt it onto the flywheel. This is considered a flywheel-less clutch because it doesn't actually use the flywheel. The technology is crazy, but you don't have to line it up like a normal clutch, and you don't need to resurface your flywheel because it doesn't even use it like as a traditional clutch. This was the coolest and easiest clutch job I've ever done, so huge shout out to Uniclutch again for their amazing products. The flywheel that I ended up going with was just a stock OEM one that I got from AutoZone and a pilot bearing. All of this was like for under $100. Now it's time to uninstall the old Chevy 350 that came with the car. Taking out engines have been getting easier and easier to do after this was like my 5th time removing an engine from a car. Basically, you just disconnect everything and hoist it out of there. Probably like 2 hours max and it was out. The Chevy 350 is one of the greatest motors of all time and I have no complaints about it, but she will be missed. I think I would choose the Chevy 350 over the Ford 289 or the Ford 302, but not over the 351 Windsor. That motor probably topped it for me. The first startup couldn't have gone any better. That's the beauty of a fuel injected system. It starts up right away, so huge shout out to Phytech for that. Now this part so many people dreaded, but it needed to be done. Cutting the hood to make the supercharger pop out like a true American muscle car. I did end up cutting the stock hood because I never wanted this Camaro to go back to stock ever again. I wanted it to live the rest of its life with a blower sticking out of its hood. Now I could have went with an aftermarket hood, but I knew what I was doing and I knew what I wanted. There was no turning back now. I mean, just look at it. It looks so mean and perfect. I couldn't be more happy with the cut that we made on this hood. One thing about me is I love to black out cars. Some people prefer the chrome on classic cars, but I prefer the menacing look. So I painted the bumpers black and I think it's the second best appearance mod I did on the Camaro this far. Just look how badass it looks now. Transmission was next, and I'm not gonna lie, this is what set me back the longest because I had to save up $5,000 extra to afford, and I just bought my Viper, so money was kind of tight, but eventually we made it happen. I ended up going with the Tremec TKX transmission, which I love so much. Along with the TKX transmission, I got the bell housing to adapt to the big block Chevy, a custom shifter from Modern Driveline to offset the center of the Camaro, little accessories like a speed sensor, reverse wires, and I got a custom transmission crossmember to fit on a 1969 Camaro. This is the same transmission that I had on my 1968 Ford Mustang Fastback with a Coyote swap. I went with this transmission for 2 reasons. The size of it, it's so small that you don't need to cut your transmission tunnel for it to fit. If I would have went with like a T56 Magnum like most people do, then you would have to cut your transmission tunnel and fabricate a new one. I did not want to do that, so I was trying to avoid that by running a TKX transmission. This transmission is also good for about 700 foot-pounds of torque, which is where I want to be with this build. Anything higher than 700 horsepower is no fun on the streets, so I think we hit the sweet spot. Again, we need a little modern technology to help us driving this beast because the manual Z-bar clutch setup wasn't going to be the most ideal. So I ended up getting a full hydraulic clutch assembly, including a hydraulic throwout bearing, master cylinder, and reservoir to connect to the clutch pedal. I did have to fabricate just one hole in the clutch pedal to make it work, but it was super easy and I got everything done in less than like 4 hours. To connect the powertrain together, the final piece was the drive shaft. I've worked with precision shaft technology since my classic Mustang, and I love the drive shaft so much I had to come back. PST provided their one-piece custom drive shaft to connect the TKX transmission to the rear end in less than 5 minutes, and I was ready to go out on the road. Now, without further ado, we took it out on its first ever drive, and although the real first drive didn't go as planned because there were so many things wrong, I fixed it, took it for part 2, and it drove flawlessly around my neighborhood. Now, all that is needed is to get a good tune, but that's basically it from start to finish. Does it drive? Yes. Does it drive well? No. There's a lot of things that still need to be fixed, like exhaust, steering, tuning, and a lot of quality work, but you'll have to stay tuned here on the channel if you want to see more of this. So subscribe and like, and I will see you in the next video of building a blown big block Camaro.